So the holiday season is upon us, and just like every other year, a lot of people out there are looking for cheap video games, and this year it does look like you got covered because if you're a Nintendo fan, it does look like the Nintendo eShop is doing a pretty big sale right now on the eShop for the holiday season, and that's absolutely perfect because this year I would actually agree that this is one of the best years to get into the Nintendo Switch ecosystem just because earlier in the year, you may not know this, but Nintendo did release an alternative to the regular Switch, which normally retails at $300. They did release the Nintendo Switch Lite, and the Nintendo Switch Lite will only cost you $200 US. And now with this Nintendo eShop sale going on, you can buy like 3, 4, 5 games and still be well under the regular Switch's price, which is normally $300. So you buy the Nintendo Switch Lite for like a kid, or maybe you buy a Switch Lite for yourself. You don't care about all the benefits of the regular Nintendo Switch, and then you buy some games on sale on this Nintendo eShop sale, and boom, you're under $300. And honestly, this is the perfect time to get into the Nintendo Switch ecosystem. So anyway, let's go ahead and go to the eShop and actually look around the eShop and see what games we can actually find on the cheap for the Nintendo Switch winter sale that's currently going on the eShop. First of all, when you go to the website, you will see they do have some deals for some Nintendo Switches. Keep in mind, all the Switches on this on these deals are going to be the regular Nintendo Switch at $300. It's not going to be any deals on the Nintendo Switch Lite, but I guess the Nintendo Switch just came out in like September of this year, so you can see it is very recent that the Lite system did come out, so I guess they're not really trying to promote that. So all these promotions are pretty much going to get you buy the regular Nintendo Switch at $300, and then you do get a $30 gift card free, and that's not too bad. It's not the greatest deal, but it's also not the worst deal either. I would honestly say it's a pretty good deal, especially since games are $60. I guess you can get a game at practically half off if you buy the regular Nintendo Switch. I wish maybe they would have just thrown in a game like maybe Mario Kart or something like that free of charge. That would have even been a better deal, but I guess you can't complain. Something is better than nothing. So you can see that deal is running both at GameStop and Target if you want to pick up that deal with the $30 gift card. And then Walmart does have another bundle. You don't really get anything with it per se, except for you do get the red Mario Joy-Cons, and then you do get a carrying case free, but you don't get any games, you don't get any credit or anything like that, and that one's still going to cost you $29. Or it does look like, excuse me, that one is actually going to come with a $20 Nintendo eShop credit. I do apologize about that, but even so, that's one of the more weaker deals because you do get a case and $20 plus the red Joy-Cons, but not $30. So it's just okay, like I said. But let's go ahead and move on to the games and talk about some of the games that are going to be on the eShop right now that you can get on sale for some of these games. First off, we do have Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco is putting a lot of games on sale. It looks like it's going to go until December 30th, so you still have time, especially since Christmas is next month, or whenever you're watching this, you will have time to get like your eShop credit, your cash put together, and things like that to get these sales rolling right here. And here are the games that are going to be from Bandai Namco that are on sale. Let's look at all included games. And here are all the included games from that publisher, and there is some pretty good deals, like for instance Katamari Damacy Reroll. I actually played Katamari Damacy Reroll the full entire game and actually beat that game, and that game is a joy to play, but honestly I would not recommend it at $30. I think Katamari Damacy is a little bit too expensive at $30. At $17.99, you may actually be interested in that game. Another game that's actually good from Bandai Namco are going to be both these Dragon Ball games. So we have Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, I do believe, and then we have Dragon Ball FighterZ. Honestly, out of one of those two, I would honestly take Dragon Ball FighterZ. I'm just more a fan of like 2D fighters. I just like that style and things like that. So I would take Dragon Ball FighterZ at $14.99, which it normally retails for $60 on the Switch. I think that's a perfect inclusion to your Nintendo Switch catalog, especially if you're a fighting fan, or maybe you're a person that likes playing Dragon Ball games, and that game is actually going to be perfect for you at only $14.99. Again, Xenoverse 2 is still going to be an amazing game, a pretty good game at that, for only $12.49, usually $50. And then some other games, like for instance Tales of Vesperia, I think came out last generation. It came out on the Xbox 360, and that game is a good RPG if you're looking up to pick a cheap RPG cheap RPG up, and that one's only $24.99, and that game normally runs $50. And honestly, that's a pretty good game. I wouldn't say it's mind-blowing or a must-have, but if you are looking for another RPG, or you just want to play an RPG and you don't know where to look for a cheap one, then that one is definitely a go. And I would recommend Tales of Vesperia. You won't be disappointed with that game. That game is a very good game. And then some other games we do have here, which are actually quite good, I want to say, is right down here, Little Nightmares. I have actually played Little Nightmares before, and Little Nightmares is actually a good game. It's kind of like a puzzle game. It's mostly like about the environments. It's a horror game. Honestly, I liked everything that game was going for. I actually liked the story direction. I liked the art style of that game. I liked a lot of things of Little Nightmares. So if you want a game that's going to be a little short, it's about 5 to 6 hours, or even shorter than that, depending on how fast you figure out the puzzles, then you should give that game a go, especially if you're in the horror games, or you like puzzlers, or you just like games with good atmosphere, then you're definitely going to like Little Nightmares. And the nice thing about this Little Nightmares Complete Edition, of course, just like the name says, Little Nightmares Complete Edition is actually going to have the DLC included as well. And this game normally goes for $30. At $10.19, it's a good game, and you won't feel like you got robbed, because this game at $30, the only problem with this game is it is a one and done type game. And for $30, there's other games that you can get that are not one and done type games. So I am glad it's only going on the eShop for $10, since you won't feel robbed once you play it and beat it. It'll be kind of like you went to the movie and just watched a 3-hour movie and called it a day. So that's not bad. And then there's some other stuff here, like of course we got Ni no Kuni, and Ni no Kuni is a pretty good RPG. I don't know if it's necessarily right now worth $34, but if you're looking to pick it up, it is on sale right there for $34. And then some of these other ones I'm not really all too familiar with, but there is a lot to choose from when it comes to Bandai Namco on the Nintendo Switch eShop. And now let's actually move down, because it looks like Team17 is also having a big eShop sale for the Nintendo Switch. And some highlights here, if we go down to see all included games, some of the standouts would actually be Worms. Worms is a good multiplayer game, and overall just a good game. It's very cheap. I wouldn't honestly, for me personally, pick Worms up for $30. I think $30 for this game particularly is just a little bit too expensive for my blood, but for that $10.19, this one may be one if you're just looking for a cheap Switch game. It's not a bad game, but honestly, I know Worms is not for everyone. Now, there is one game here I can safely say from Team17 I would definitely recommend, is definitely worth pulling the trigger on, is the Overcooked series. I am a big fan of the Overcooked series. If you have a lot of family members, or if you have kids, or if you want a game that's a good co-op game, this is one of the best co-op games hands down on the Nintendo Switch. I would even put it in my top 3 favorite co-op games on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, the Nintendo Switch, especially if you have the regular Nintendo Switch with the detachable Joy-Cons, this game is perfect on the go, because you can set your Switch up in tabletop mode, put out the kickstand, take off the Joy-Cons, and you can play pretty much anywhere you are, as long as you have a stable surface to put the Switch on. And honestly, it's a very good game. Now, I will have to admit, if you don't like Overcooked, you may want to go with the original one, the first one, for only $6.79, because then if you don't like it, you won't feel like you got robbed and you wasted your money. But if you do decide to go with Overcooked 2, which they're both on sale right now, one is $14.99 and one is $6.79, Overcooked 2, it's also going to be a fantastic deal. And the nice thing compared to Overcooked 1 is Overcooked 2 does have online multiplayer, and you can play with random strangers. I know it's not the best game to play with random strangers online, because you don't have a way to communicate with them and things like that, but it does give you more replayability like that. Honestly, the only downside to those Overcooked games is the fact that they're not really good if you're just playing them single player. So if you're a single player only person, I would honestly say skip those games, but I just wanted to make those the highlights of Team17 games, because those are some fantastic games, and those are some games I can highly recommend if you're into co-op action, and they're just a blast to play and you won't be disappointed. Another game you may actually want to consider is Yooka-Laylee. I know that was a mixed bag, and basically what Yooka-Laylee was trying to be, Yooka-Laylee was practically trying to be a Banjo-Kazooie revival, and a lot of people didn't like the way that it played out. A lot of the levels were a little bit weird. Some of the movements just weren't smooth. There's a lot of different problems with that game, but at $13, if you pick up that game and you give that game a chance, you may actually like Yooka-Laylee, and that is the original Yooka-Laylee. I know they made another one recently. I can't remember the name, but the one on this cell specifically is going to be the original one, which is a 3D platformer like Banjo and Kazooie on the N64. So that game is kind of interesting. Another game that is actually worth picking up if you like sandbox sandbox games, if you like messing around in your worlds and things like that, you may want to give The Escapist 2 a try at only $6.99, because there is a lot of fun in that game, and that game is actually a blast to play. If you like open-ended games and trying to figure out things and doing things, I would actually recommend The Escapist 2 at $6.79. It's a game that you should play on the Nintendo Switch. Again, that game is really not for everybody, but I understand it. But it's still a good game, and you should definitely pick that game up for yourself. And it looks like they have both Escapist on sale, The Escapist 2 and The Escapist Complete Edition. Honestly, since you're only saving like $1 on the Escapist 1, I would personally just buy The Escapist 2 at $6.79, since it's relatively cheap and you're only saving $1. Just buy The Escapist 2 and call it a day. Even if you don't like the game, it's not like you're spending like $30 or $40 on the game. You're only spending roughly $7 on the game. Another game that actually took me by surprise, and a lot of people by surprise, was this Yoku's Island Express game. It's basically kind of like a Metroidvania-esque game where you're kind of like controlling this character that's kind of like a pinball. It kind of plays like a pinball game if you're into pinball games, but it's kind of like a platformer, a Metroidvania-esque platformer, I do believe, something like that. And Yoku's Island Express is actually a pretty good game, and considering it's only $6.79, there is some fun to be had with this game. Just know that this game in particular, Yoku's Island Express, can get a little bit overwhelming and get a little bit frustrating, because it's kind of hard to like move around, since it is pretty much mimicking pinball like that. It's a pinball platformer pretty much, but it is a unique game at that. And then moving down, there is some other stuff on sales. Now we're going to the Ubisoft holiday sale. That sale is going to run until December 31st. I did forget to mention the Team 17 one is going to go until January the 2nd. So you can see some of these different publishers do have their games sales on at different times, so make sure to check. But most of these go until after the holiday, or just around right after Christmas, so you have a lot of time to actually decide what you actually want to buy. Now we're getting to some pretty important games, and some pretty interesting games at that, because Ubisoft is a publisher that does make a lot of top quality games. So let's look at Ubisoft and actually talk about some of their top quality games on the eShop that are on sale right now. One game, honestly, for me personally, I would definitely stay away from right here, even though it is on sale. I would definitely stay away from Starlink. I think Starlink is not really a good game. I don't really like the game. It's an open-ended kind of like Star Fox shooter, if you ever played Star Fox from Nintendo. And honestly, for me, it just didn't really hit a lot of marks. It's a real repetitive game. It's kind of clunky. It's just not for me. But hey, if you want to give it a shot at 20, go ahead. But just know that game is not that great for me, and I do not like Starlink, and I can see why it is on sale. But that's one of the least games you should definitely buy in this whole eShop sale. If you were not going to buy one game, stay away from Starlink, in my opinion. Now, another game that is actually good, which I can recommend here, is Mario X Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Mario X Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a strategy RPG. It plays more of the lines of the XCOM series, so if you ever played the XCOM series, then you'll be very familiar with Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And at $14.99, I think that's the cheapest price it's actually been at, and it is worth picking up. Just note, I wouldn't recommend getting this right away, and I wouldn't actually make this a priority over some of the other sales on the Nintendo eShop, just because I do know for a factor, time and time again, throughout the year, Mario X Rabbids always goes on sale, and usually it goes around $20, and at $20 the game is still worth picking up. So just put that on the back burner for now. But if you are looking for a strategy RPG that does play like the XCOM series, then Mario X Rabbids is definitely a game worth picking up, and you can have quite a lot of fun with that game. Just know what you're getting yourself into, and just know that game in particular goes on sale all the time, which I would pick up one of these other games that don't normally go on sale all too often. If you're looking for more RPGs, which I only named like 2 or 3 RPGs this far, I would actually recommend the South Park games. These South Park games are very good games. Just mind the language of these games can be a little bit harsh. So if you are a parent, or maybe you're a kid, you're not allowed to have like violent language, you may want to stay away from these games, or you may want to play these games with headphones only. As long as you stay with headphones only, or you just know what the language is going to be for the South Park games, and you can have a lot of fun with these games, especially if you're a South Park Park fan, then you're going to love a lot of things in there. And especially since it's pretty much like watching an episode of South Park, then it's definitely worth picking up. And they have both of them on sale, and they're both amazing games. I can't necessarily say South Park The Fractured Butthole is better than South Park The Stick of Truth, because they are both amazing games. So no matter which one you pick up, you'll be happy with either one, and they are both games. If you can pick up both, of course, pick up both, but as long as you just get one of them, you will be happy. And these games are some pretty good, amazing RPGs that are actually worth looking at. You may be thinking to yourself, well, they actually look like licensed TV video games or movie video games, and those games usually suck. But trust me, these games do not suck, and they're basically fan first for any South Park fans. Another one that is actually worth picking up on the Ubisoft sale is actually going to be Rayman Legends. Rayman Legends is actually a game I did own back on the Wii U. I beat the game, and funny enough, after I beat Rayman Legends on the Wii U, I loved it that much. I actually re-picked it up on my PlayStation Vita, because at one point I did get access to a PlayStation Vita, and I did actually play Rayman Legends on there. I actually enjoyed it the second time around, because I think this game is a perfect portable game, and since the Nintendo Switch is a hybrid system where you can play this on the go, or if you have the Nintendo Switch Lite, which you can only play on the go, then I really do believe Rayman Legends is a fantastic game, and it's one of the best platformers today, and it's definitely worth $11.99. I don't know why literally this game is so cheap. If you're a fan of 2D platformers, this game is a 100% buy. And the nice thing with Rayman Legends is the fact that Rayman Legends is a co-op platformer as well. So if you're into platformers with co-op gameplay, you can play the whole entire story with a friend. And also on top of that, the one thing that makes Rayman Legends a must buy, in my opinion, or makes it a really compelling buy anyway, is the fact that Rayman Legends does have a lot of different levels from the original game, Rayman Origins. So if you never played Rayman Origins, you get like 30, 40, 50 levels from that game already included with that. Yes, you do have to unlock them, but you do get them either way, and that is nice. That is a bonus. So you're pretty much getting free DLC in terms of getting some of the first Rayman Origins levels, and there is a lot of old Rayman Origin levels in Rayman Legends, so that's why it's a very good deal at $11.99. You should just take out your wallet right now and buy it if you're a big platformer fan. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed there. And then there's some other games on here, but a lot of these other games are going to be hit and miss. They do have some 3DS games on sale, but these games are pretty much, I'm just going to say right now, garbage, and they're not really good for the 3DS deals, but I guess they're really trying to phase out the 3DS. Not many people are playing the 3DS. A lot of people are playing Switch. It makes sense. It's their newest console out right now, and it is a hot new console. And I think that pretty much wraps it up for deals from these different publishers. However, if you go down to the bottom of the page, you will see they are having some miscellaneous sales right now during the holiday sale. You can see Rocket League is 50% off. If you want to buy Rocket League, buy Rocket League. You probably already know what Rocket League is. It's an esport sports game. Honestly, for me, I wouldn't buy it. It doesn't really fancy me. I actually own the game, and it really didn't do anything for me, and it is what it is. But for 50% off, you might want to look into Rocket League. And then they have some miscellaneous games right here. Plug-in Digital's Indie Gems Christmas sale. So you can see they have a whole bunch of random games on for the holiday, and these games are just going to be small, bite-sized indie games, more or less known games. And honestly, I can't really talk about any of these games because most of these games look like games I know nothing about, and most of these games are games you probably don't want to play, to be honest. And a lot of these games you probably want to avoid, and you're probably going to have to do a search on the internet for reviews of some of these games that are super cheap, like $2.99, $1.99, $9.99, because I honestly don't know anything about these games, and these should be your last option if you're just desperate for games. But honestly, I would honestly maybe stay away from these games. But again, I don't really know too much about these games that are small indie games that are on sale right now for the holidays. And then they do have two more things right here. We have Monster Boy 1-year anniversary, and I don't know what the price of this is. Let's go ahead and see what the price of this game is real quick and see if we can actually bring up a price for this game. It looks like right now it's going for $20 compared to $40, so you can see that's pretty much a half off deal right there. And honestly, at half off, I think Monster Boy is definitely a game you should definitely pick up if you're into platformers. That game is definitely a fun game, and I think that's a game that originally came out on one of the older systems back in the 80s and 90s, and it came to the Nintendo Switch. But Monster Boy is a game you should definitely buy at $20 if you're looking for a solid platformer. And I feel like a lot of people out there don't even talk about Monster Boy. Honestly, I feel like that's a sleeper game, a game that people just overlooked and missed, but it's actually a very fun game, and it's a fantastic platformer as well. And like I said, you won't go wrong with Monster Boy for $20 compared to $40. And then they also have some games under $10, but I think it's a lot of stuff we've already seen we've already seen already in some of the other categories for Nintendo. And yes, that's pretty much going to be it for this year's holiday sale from Nintendo. There's a lot of good games, there's a lot of questionable games, but overall I think the offerings from Nintendo are solid. And you do have to remember they already did a sale when the Game Awards were on. I think last week or the week before, they did Game Awards sales, and there were some very good first-party games on that sale. So I understand why Nintendo wouldn't put a lot of first-party games on sale right now, or any of their first-party IPs on sale on the eShop right now. It's going to be other publishers because they already did that sale for the Nintendo eShop for the Game Awards. So overall, there's the sales for the holidays, and there's some very good sales. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.